At this time at 8, I got 8:33. Call the meeting of May 25th, 2022 to order. I do have one thing to read from the Governor's proclamation. It says, pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general law, chapter 30A, section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Municipal Building Committee is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to view this meeting while in progress may do so by tuning into Westborough TV. Okay, with that said, I think the next thing we have is a review of the minutes from the April 27th, 2022 meeting. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve as printed.
Okay, Dexter made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Peter O'Neill second. Do we have any comments?
I don't remember if I was at that meeting, so I will abstain unless I
Okay.
was.
Okay. Seeing no other comments, we'll do a roll call vote. Dexter?
Aye.
Peter O'Neill, you're going to abstain?
Yes.
Okay. Jim?
Yes.
Earl?
Yes.
Al? Yes. Okay, that's been approved. I'll now turn the meeting over to Peter.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Just moving down the list on the screen. Hopefully you can see it. Not too much on my report, just a couple of things to discuss. Just wanted to mention since we last met, we did receive, as Brian can maybe quickly jump in, we did receive approval from the MAAB on the variance for the stair railings.
Yeah, I think that what it means for the budget is you could release that amount, that contingency that was being set aside for that. I was pleasantly surprised, but I did get the notification. I did forward it to Fred, to Christy, and to Jim. So they have it in writing for their files. And this completed all of the variance requests, and all of them came back with approvals. So I think that was a good move. It just was the cost of a cost estimate instead of the cost of repair and replace. So I was happy for the town.
Yes, thank you, Brian. Good job.
Brian, does that clear out everything that we have pending with them?
It does. There's no other action in front of them for review.
Excellent. All right, Peter?
Okay, very good. Just moving down the list, item 3B, just thought I'd put on there discussions about the operation of the 3 rooftop units, if there's anything to mention. Maybe I'll defer to Jim, because he's probably the lead on that discussion, I would say.
So today I have Adams Plumbing and Heating on site. They're installing the new variable frequency drives to RTU 2 and 3. They came in, those were found to be mice infested during the forensics we did last August. The drives were ordered, they came in January, and I had deferred the install until the spring so that once they get installed, the warranty time starts. And I
Jim, sorry, can I just jump in
Sure.
to summarize? So, good morning, everybody. Related to RTUs 1 and 2, I think Jim explained at the last meeting that we had that forensics audit, and we had people on site kind of looking at what the issues were for the town side, but then while they were kind of going through, and so there was notes taken, and then we got to a point, I think around October, where they felt that there were things that they could do to the equipment to fix it instead of a full replace. And so I think this is what Jim's kind of speaking to right now, is that they ordered the parts for those units. But because we knew that the issue is really associated with the cooling season, and being in the fall, we had to wait until this time of year to move forward. So Jim's got them getting installed, and then we're just going to see if what they felt would repair it actually repairs it.
This is in lieu of a replacement?
At this point, understand preserving, the town's rights, but as we see if this is repair works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jim, how's the electrical stability to those units been? I know you were having electrical tripping.
So we haven't had any issues with electricity. It was something that was investigated back, last year. They had a company come in and set up and monitor the electricity, and there wasn't any significant, errors that were occurring. So we haven't had any issues with electricity at all.
Yeah, I was just curious because that was at one point what they were trying to point a finger at was maybe the downtown grid or something off-site, and I think we've kind of debunked that whole concept, but I didn't know if that was still causing electrical issues within the units.
Most of our issues all happen during the cooling season.
Correct.
So, through the fall and the spring, we really haven't had any issues. We didn't have any issues. We had a couple glitches on with some controls issues that, were taken care of over the winter, but it was nothing mechanical, on the heating side that malfunctioned. So we were able to get through the winter okay, and now we're going into the cooling season, and we've had some issues. I will just add that Christy was just talking. She said RTU 1 and 2. She's talking about RTU 2 and 3. Those are the ones that are having the drives.
Thank you. Sorry.
Having the drives replaced. On last Monday, it was found that RTU 1, which takes care of just the Great Hall, had gone down. We went up and did some investigation on it, and Peter, I think you might recall back in August when we did, August, when we did the first forensics that you were present for.
Yes.
RTU 1 had the bearing collar that had fell off, along with 2 of the bolts that hold the motor together had sheared off.
Yes. Yes.
Well, on Monday, the unit had quit running, and when we opened it up, now the other 2 had sheared off, and were laying in the bottom of the unit, and the motor was seized up. Adams Plumbing and Heating did come out. They took the motor out, and they are ordering a new one. And I believe today, I haven't had a chance yet this morning to talk with them. They're working on RTU 2 and 3 right now. But I believe they have the new motor to put into our RTU 1 with them.
Jim, this is Al. Is there any idea why those sheared off? Or is there excessive vibration or something going on?
Well, there was some excessive vibration due to the fact that the original back in August, that when we found it, 2 of them had sheared off. They felt then that they could, they would just leave it and let it keep running, and they would order another motor. Apparently that didn't happen because as of last Monday, when we found out the RTU was down, I called Adams Plumbing, Wes, and he said he didn't have a motor in stock for that. They had suggested that they pull that motor out and just send it out and have it rebuilt, but I declined that option and said that no, we want a new motor put back in, not a rebuilt.
Right, but it would seem to me that if they don't find the reason that it's vibrating so much, we're just going to continue to have the problem with the pins shearing.
Well, I think when we initially found it back in August, it wasn't due to vibration. It was due to when the motor was assembled, the the 4 bolts, and they're about 10 inches long, that hold the whole case together. The bolts have been over tightened, and that's what caused those 2 to shear off. And then I take it, once those sheared off, the motor was kind of a little cockeyed in there, and I think that's probably what caused the other 2 to eventually snap.
Okay.
So that was that's the update on all 3 units. They're on the roof today. We have representatives from Capital Engineering there, taking pictures and documenting what's going on. And I also have my controls guy who's in town today doing some work at the senior center. When he finishes there, he's going to go up in case there's any programming issues that need to be addressed once they get these things up and running.
Wow, that's good, Jim. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Chairman, committee members, move on to the next one. If we're good on rooftops. Okay, I just put this down, number 3C, if there's any discussion or updates on the closeout with 5-star. If nothing, we can move on. I just thought I'd add it.
Have you had any, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, it sounds like you have a question. So, I mean, I guess I was going to say, I think we can move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Item 4, I updated the budget. I can show it on my screen. I just added some invoicing recently. I'll go to the bottom line if you don't mind. There's a lot of parts to this, as you're very familiar with. So the bottom line, I can zoom in a little bit if that helps. As mentioned previously, we had set aside almost, it was $100,000 for the railings and any accessibility variances that we might have corrected. But since the variance came in approved, that $100,000 has been removed. So what I've essentially done here is, you can see right here, we have $209,000, $627 uncommitted. I did add, just for the purpose of it's still out there as far as I'm aware, there is a claim that the contractor has in there for additional general conditions of $54,000. So taking that out, we're down to $155. And then we turn around and we have $189,000 over in this column as uncommitted funds as far as what I'm tracking. We add that back in there, take away the $102,000 that's still owed to the contractor, leaves $86,000. You add the 155 up here and the 86 over here, what I'm tracking as potentially available. This is just my tracking method of $241,000. I have talked to the director of finance by way of email, and this $189,000 is pretty close to what she's tracking as well. So I know the numbers aren't exactly from what I understand them to be. Sometimes certain monies are spent internally, but this is what I'm tracking based on my paperwork as potentially balance remaining of funds as of this moment.
We haven't spent any additional money. This committee in the last couple meetings, has approved all of the expenditures. And I did talk to Leah as well, and she's tracking the same costs, which would reflect if any additional monies had been spent. So,
is there any significance over here under, I don't know what the line is, but the very last line where it says last update, January 22nd, 21?
Right here, no. This is based on what Christy just mentioned and what I mentioned with Leah. Leah, the town director of finance is and us are pretty well in sync with monies that they may have written versus what I have written. We will check that out again as we get nearing the end, if we're not there already.
I hope we're there already or close. So this the 2021 date is only significant for those items that were added by the town and that have that tan color in them?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Peter.
Okay.
So I guess any questions on that? If not, go back up to the cover sheet. Down to item 5, just kind of a opportunity for new business or open discussion.
So there's a couple things. There's an invoice that'll be coming in from American Refrigeration, Capital Engineering. When we were doing the punch list items, I was directed to, there's a few items that the town had decided to take care of on their own. One of them was the cabinet heater. When you walk in the main entrance of the building on the library side, that heater was running constantly because it never got wired for thermostat. And I ended up having Capital Engineering put in a aquastat to control it. So I do have an invoice for that. It came in that I was going to present here, but when I reviewed it, there was some discrepancies in it. So I had to send it back, and I'm waiting for them to update the thing. So the next meeting we have, I will have that updated invoice for repairing that.
Can I just add that those punch list things that Jim's mentioning that the town decided, that was all voted by this committee. So I just want to make sure that, you know, I just want to be clear that there's no sort of other decision making happening. So this committee, we voted, I don't know, a couple meetings ago, which punch list items Jim was going to take care of through, you know, his own resources. So that was one of them.
What's the approximate cost of that, Jim?
Yep.
I'm going to say it's around $1,000.
Okay.
I want to say maybe a little under. The invoice had some labor on it. The invoice came in around $1,200, but there was some labor on that was for another project that they were doing in the building, unrelated to this, and they didn't separate it. So I just have them reviewing that. But it's going to be around $1,000, I believe, Dexter.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Jim, isn't that the one we put a limit on, so we weren't going to exceed a certain amount?
I don't believe we did, Al, because there was a number of items that the town was going to take care of on their own. And you know, I didn't have prices on any of those, so I wouldn't have been able to provide you with you know, a not to exceed price or anything, because I don't know how much they're going to cost to correct.
Okay, well, very good. Thank you.
I just have a question while we're talking about money. And every time we have Adams or whoever it is that comes up and looks at our rooftop units and we do repairs, and I'm assuming all of that stuff is on them, not us.
We haven't paid any bills associated with work on the rooftop units, except for we did pay the third party that we asked to be present.
Yes.
for the town.
Okay, well, I'm just curious. We seem to see those guys a lot, and I'm waiting to get the other shoe to fall, other foot to fall.
Shouldn't fall. It should be on their dime.
That's what I'm hoping.
The only other thing that I have, myself and Earl had reached out to, we discussed the last meeting about a catwalk that needs to be installed around the generator out in the parking lot. We did put it out to some local people in town. They came out, took some measurements, and gave us a proposal that it does come over $10,000, so we will have to get some more quotes. But I do have the first the price from at least one price to what we're expecting to do on that generator. That price came in at $18,600.
True. It's interesting that that catwalk wasn't installed on the equipment as OEM, if you will, because of the safety issue. I mean, it's there, it's not gonna change. And how come we are stuck with it now after the fact rather than it being included with the equipment originally?
I don't have that answer for you, Dexter. I do know when Craft Power, the people that installed the generator, came out to do the training. This was back, when we first got into the building. The first thing that the gentleman spoke of was the fact that the town needed to put access to that because the thing is probably about 6 feet up in the air to the bottom of it, and to work, change the oil in the diesel motor. There's 10 gallons of oil that needs to be taken out. There's lots of things, and you can't do it off of ladders safely. Even just to put fuel in the tank, you have to have a ladder to climb up to open it up, and then reach down in. So it's something that from very early on of our occupancy in the building, we knew it had to be done. It's just we are just getting now to getting some prices to do it.
Brian, is that something that could have been included in the original? I mean, does that as an option from the manufacturer?
I've never seen it as one, Dexter. I've never seen it as an option off of the generator manufacturer. It's not something that we could just check a box on the shop drawing and say, provide it with a catwalk.
Yeah, okay. I'm just curious that we realize it's an issue and it's got to be fixed, but I wonder if it would have been an option that we could have purchased originally and not been in this predicament today.
I don't think it's an option that comes, as far as I know, it's not an option that comes right from the manufacturer.
Jim, because of the price, obviously you need 3 quotes on this.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a chance you think by the next time we have a meeting, hopefully either in June, you'll have the 3 quotes by then?
Yes, I feel pretty confident we should be able to have them by then.
Okay.
Sorry, Al, so I know we had talked and Jim had brought this up the last time and explained that he was going out, but I apologize as I forget, but is this something that would come under this project in terms of paying for it out of the remaining funds? Is that the plan?
I'm hoping that's what's going to happen because
Yeah, I agree with you, Jim. I think that was the intent after it was brought to our attention. It's part of the project. It should have been done originally. It wasn't, and that's why I asked Brian about it. I don't have a problem with it. It's something that's should have been part of the project originally, but the manufacturer didn't recommend it, so it wasn't included.
If the committee is ready to move forward, can you just do a not to exceed based on Jim's estimate? And so that when he gets the quotes, he can move forward?
Right. Jim, you said 18.6 was the first quote you got?
yeah, and actually that is that quote that we have is a not to exceed quote. These are local guys, and
I'm just talking about, Jim, I'm just talking about the vote, so that the committee could vote a not to exceed amount.
Right.
You would move forward as you're required to under procurement laws, and then you could just move forward if the committee was comfortable.
All right, so I'll make a motion then, Al, that we agree to install the safety railing around the generator for an amount not to exceed $18,600 based on Jim's original quote.
I second that.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Dexter?
Aye.
Ian?
Aye.
Peter O'Neill?
Yes.
Jim?
yes.
Earl?
Yes.
Gordon, yes. So that's unanimous. Okay. Jim, did you have anything else you needed to bring up?
I think that's all I've got right now, Al. I don't see anything else here.
Okay. Peter, did you want to move on to the invoices?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Committee members, there's just 2 invoices that were submitted. Item 6 is the final invoice from the commissioning agent. As you probably saw, hopefully, the commissioning report was issued. They've completed their contractual scope of work. And if this invoice is paid, that will close out their services. The second one is for the OPM for services. You probably saw a series of emails. Dexter, thank you for those questions. for the past 14 months. This brings us up to date through today.
Okay, we
So
can
I
take,
would move that we approve the invoices number 1 and 2 listed on Peter's report to NV5 commissioning agent and Harry. And the
Okay.
amounts listed on the report.
okay, motion by Dexter. We have a second.
Second that.
Second by Ian. Any discussion? Do a roll
Yeah,
call vote. Oh,
the commissioning report. It took me 2 hours to read that thing, Peter, to disturb my nap.
Yeah, it's quite extensive, yeah. It did have a lot of the information that was generated throughout their services, which shows up all the back information and shows some of the resolutions as well. And I think that, hopefully that tool, let me say it this way, that report could be certainly beneficial to Jim Stewart with facilities as he moves forward with his operation of the building and his contractor who's doing certain controls, adjustments when necessary. I hope that helps, Jim.
Thank you.
I would say so, significantly.
and Jim, you've received everything from them that you're due?
I have, yes. Peter, you sent over the report. I
Yes.
have it here in my files and we're good.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Dexter,
Aye.
Ian Johnson,
Aye.
Peter O'Neill,
Yes.
Jim,
Aye.
Earl,
Aye.
Gordon. Yes, that's unanimous. Okay.
Just last two items. Well, actually, last item really, Mr. Chairman, committee members, is just the next meeting date, if you want to discuss it today.
Next month, Al?
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. How,
Christie's left. I was gonna say, how are we doing on getting this thing to resolution and closure?
I'm here. I'm
Oh.
still here.
Do we have any idea, or is it still out there being discussed and between the lawyers?
Well, I mean, we're still working on the RTU unit. So the update that I gave on RTU is still where we're at. So
Okay,
we're
all
just, once those parts go in, we'll see if that fixes the problem. That's so.
right.
all right,
I
so
would,
we should know that by a month from now, Al.
yeah, I would think, we could have our meeting in June and we'll have some idea that the units are working or they're not working. And hopefully we'll have the quote from Jim on the generator. So how about, does anybody have a problem with, say, June 22nd?
I'm
That's
going
a
to be away
Wednesday?
that whole week from the 19th to the 25th. I'll be gone. That doesn't mean you can't have your meetings. I won't be here.
Okay. Is there enough people we have for a quorum?
I can make the 22nd.
I'm good, Al.
Okay, why don't we plan on the 22nd? Because I'm going to be leaving myself on the 27th. So if we do the 22nd, I think that would work.
Okay.
No problem here.
We noted.
And we'll do that one remote also.
Sure.
So maybe Enza, we can have that posted at enough time and everything.
Yes,
Are we still able to do remote meetings? Christie, when's that going to expire, I wonder?
It's beginning in July.
End of July?
The beginning, I think it's the 15th of July. I'm not sure that we'll see an extension again, but who knows?
Okay,
Okay,
well, that
all right,
meeting
thanks.
will fit within there, so we should
Yeah.
be all set.
Yep.
Okay.
I have a
Um,
question before we leave today. And I should have brought it up earlier, but I didn't start thinking about it until just now. On the canopy, we had Jim look into some heat cables and electric work out there, which was quite extensive. What is the status on that project?
So I brought an electrician in. I did get well, he never really gave me the price because when he looked into doing it, he brought the manufacturer in, and what we were hoping to accomplish, it wouldn't work. under those situations. And the gutter people I had in, there was some issues with that too. The length of it's 85 feet. We couldn't do it with one downspout. We couldn't bring the downspouts to the middle. So there would have to be downspouts even on each end. It was a long distance to do, but they said that possibly they could make that work, but it wouldn't work without being electrified. And it's just, there's power issues out there. There was a bunch of issues. So we're looking into some different options on that right now, Peter. It's still, work in progress. I've got some help with people trying to come up with different ideas, but as of this meeting, I'm not prepared to present that to you guys quite yet.
No, that's fine. I was just curious. I know we had talked about it and I didn't know whether there was any movement one way or the other on it.
Okay, anything further? They seen none. Do we have Dexter made a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, second by Jim. Any discussion? Seeing none, do a roll call vote. Dexter,
Aye.
Ian,
Aye.
Peter O'Neill,
Yes.
Jim,
Aye.
Earl,
Aye.
Gordon, yes. With that, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all. Have a
Thank
good,
you.
Thank
good
you.
month.
Thank you.